makeup friends, today I'm going to be testing out the new Revlon Colorstay Light Coverage Foundation. So, if that sounds like something you're interested in, just keep watching. Alright, before we dive into it, I want to welcome you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. Alright, let's get into this. So I have brought up this foundation on the Revlon website just to take a look and see what the claims are. So it says that it's a no makeup face makeup that truly lasts. It claims to have a 12-hour wear time. Comes in 12 shades, and the description says that it's an effortless, long-wear fluid foundation with buildable coverage that looks flawless and feels fresh for 12 hours. The lightweight liquid perfects just the right amount. It evens out complexions with a range of adaptable shades that disappear into most skin tones, hydrates skin all day, and protects with SPF 34. There are other details on here. It says that it is free of parabens, fragrances, phthalates, and mineral oils. Infused with concentrated pomegranate and SPF 35, although it said 34 before, but 35 for smooth, brighter skin. Does SPF play into smooth and bright skin? I don't know about that. Anyways, it says that it boosts skin hydration levels by 56%, very specific. It's an easy to hold, squeezable bottle with a tottle tip for mess-free application. I had no idea that that's what that was called. A tottle tip. I had no idea. Learn something new every day. All right, it's free from all the things I said and available in 12 adaptable shades. That's what they keep calling it. Now, in looking at their website, the way that they have their shades laid out, like they're not in any sort of order. So it's hard to see from the way that they've laid out the colors. It's hard to see like what the range of it really is. Now it doesn't say on the website what the coverage amount is, but I mean it is called Light Cover Foundation, so I'm guessing it's light coverage. That would make sense. So if it really is a light coverage, having 12 shades, probably not the biggest issue because they can probably cover a few shades on either side, but I will note that the lightest shade is 110 Ivory, and then the deepest shade is Java 620. Now the only bit of information that's on the bottle that's not on the website is just that it says that it has a natural finish. So it doesn't claim to be mattifying, it doesn't claim to be dewy, just a natural finish, which frankly I am a fan of. Now, I do have to say, I like the idea of it claiming to have 12-hour wear. I feel like that's a realistic number to aim for. When foundations come out and they're like 24-hour wear, 36-hour wear, I just question who's wearing their foundation for that long and what are you doing that you require foundation for a full 24 to 36 hours? That seems horrible. I don't want that life. 12 hours, however, is typically how much I wear my foundation throughout the day. So that's a fairly realistic claim. We'll see if it holds up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and prime my face off camera and then we will come in to apply this and see how we get on with it. For primer today, I'm going to use the Ultra Repair Hyaluronic Hydrating Primer from First Aid Beauty. It doesn't add a ton of like dewiness to my skin, nor does it mattify, it doesn't really blur anything. So I feel like it just is gonna add additional hydration to my skin, but isn't really gonna skew how the foundation looks once it's applied on top. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and then we will jump right into the foundation application. All right, we are primed. I've given it a good shake. I'm ready to go ahead and apply. For application today, I'm going to be using my 101 brush from BK Beauty. This just happens to be my favorite foundation brush. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the foundation right on there. It is very liquidy, so I feel like it is going to hopefully live up to that light coverage claim. This shade is a little bit light for me. I picked up the shade, I don't think I told you this, I picked up the shade 210 Creme Brulee. For frame of reference, at this time of year, my skin is in MAC shades NC20. So I am on the light side, not quite fair, but on the light side. I tend to have a bit of yellowness to my undertone. I can get away with some neutral shadow or some neutral foundations. It just really depends. This is giving me straight up ghost face though. Like, I had a hard time picking the shade because there's only 12 to choose from. And I find when shades are described as Creme Brulee, I don't really know what that means. I much prefer when there's some sort of like letter number combination system like NC20 or like 2N or something along those lines. I can sort of guess where I'm going to be. When it's named after some sort of like dessert item, I have no idea. Like I don't know. So this one is looking hella light. So that makes me kind of question the deepest shades that they offer in this range, just how deep they really are, because this is not the lightest shade that they offer, and yet it's pretty darn light. So I will be able to make it work. I will use a setting powder that has a bit of color to it, but overall it just brings into question the entire line. Because also, if this is not the lightest, maybe fair people are going to be super happy because the fairest of the shades is probably going to be like stark white, but it doesn't really inspire a lot of hope for the deeper shades. All right, so I'm going to go in with my number 64 brush from Sephora just to do a little bit of additional blending. And while I'm doing that, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on my skin, just in case you're new around here. So I have normal leaning towards dry skin. This time of year, dead of winter, it's about as dry as it's going to get. I don't really have much in the way of dry patches with the exception of like the tip and just like the underside of my nose. I'm 40 years old. I do have fine lines, some a little bit less fine than others, but I do have that starting and going on. My skin is not particularly sensitive. I don't deal with large pores. Nothing of that sort. I don't really have any discoloration or any major blemishes or whatnot that I'm trying to hide. I do have some freckles and spots and whatnot on my face. I frankly don't mind if they are visible at all, so I'm not necessarily looking for a full coverage foundation to hide absolutely everything on my skin. So that's sort of what we're working with. Now, okay, I'm going to flip it to the magnified side just so that I can take a look, and then I will come in, dim the lights, the whole shtick, so that you can take a look. So what I can say off the top is that this is creating the appearance of pores in this area on me. To a slightly lesser extent over here as well, but most definitely, oddly enough, not so much on this side. Maybe it's just the way the light's hitting it, but definitely over here. So go ahead and try to blend that a little bit more. But that's not super flattering. Yeah, you know what? It's gathering in all the little pores down here too. I do not love how this foundation looks on my skin. Now, I didn't mention at the beginning, this isn't exactly a first impressions. I have worn this a couple of times and tested it out, so I'm already kind of aware of what the problems will be, but I haven't looked at myself like up close in the magnified mirror before, and yikes. That's all I can say is yikes. It looks dry on my skin. Okay, let's let you guys take a look at it as well. All right, so I've got the ring light down as far as it'll go, and I've turned my side lights off. So this is about as good as I can get it. Now, I'm not sure. Looking at the viewfinder, it's really difficult for me because it doesn't always really capture what it looks like when I actually post the video, but hopefully you can see in this area how it's just sort of sitting in every pore that I have. And it's doing it as well down on this area of my face. We'll skip over the fact that the shade is like wildly off, but that's neither here nor there. Oh my God, can I knock off any more stuff? It's not blending out really nicely along my nose. Some foundations do that. I don't really know why. I don't have an oily nose, but sometimes foundations just like, yeah, I don't want to be here. Peace out. This is one of those foundations. Down here, it's like clinging to and over here as well. It's like clinging to every little bit of peach fuzz that I have. And then I find like this side looks a little bit better than over here for whatever reason, but I feel like it's not blending into the skin well. I don't know. All I can say is up close, it kind of looks like a satchel of Richards. I will say it's not nearly as bad as the CoverGirl Skin Milk. That made my skin look truly atrocious. But this one's not great. I mean, that's a pretty low bar, and this one just kind of steps over it. I'm not wild on this. From a distance, it looks fine. Like holding a mirror out, it looks fine, but it doesn't look great up close. There's better foundations out there. Now, in terms of the finish, I would say that it is a natural finish, so I think they're right on the money with that. It's not adding a ton of luminosity to my skin, nor is it mattifying anything, so definitely natural finish. In terms of looking at like where my freckles are and whatnot, the light coverage claim I think is accurate. You could probably build it up edging towards medium. You're never going to get full coverage out of this unless you really cake it on, at least my opinion. So, I mean, those claims are right, but I just don't think it's a super flattering foundation, especially like in this area and up in here. So, all right, well, okay. I'm going to finish up my base makeup. I am going to use, I'll show you, I just got to find it. This is from Jouer. This is their Soft Focus Hydrate and Set Powder. I have it in the shade Light. Now their idea of light is wildly off from Revlon's idea, because this is hella not light. It's definitely not light. But when my foundation is a little bit too light for my skin, this is a good option for setting because it does add just a little bit of depth to the foundation. And I mean, you can see I've used a ton of it, so it's not like it's a bad product. It's just, if you have fair skin, don't believe the like light claim. Go even lighter than that if they have an option. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, put some concealer on, set it with the powder, come back and show you, and then I will do a check-in later on today. So just hold tight. All right, so there we go with the concealer on. Today I used the Dior Forever Skin Correct in the shade 2N. I set that with a translucent powder, and then I went in and powdered the rest of my face with the Jouer. So I feel like it is a much better match now than it was. Still not super in love with how it's looking, but the powder certainly does help to blend things out a little bit. I obviously don't have any like bronzer or blush or anything on. This is just the base at this point. I will say there is definitely some tackiness to it, although it's not leaving fingerprints when I touch my face, so that is good. Let me just flip the inside of my shirt. Just a tiny bit of transfer coming off, so again, that's good as well. Now this does claim that it has a 12-hour wear test. I don't think I'm going to get quite to the 12 hours, but at an absolute minimum 8, more likely 10 hours. So I will check in at the end of the day and we'll see how this is held up. All right, welcome back. It has been about 9.5 hours since I applied the foundation. So that means it's time for me to get super up close again and share my thoughts on it with you. All right, we are all the way in, and the lights are down as low as they will go. Hopefully I can keep myself in frame while looking down at my mirror. So let's just start, I guess, from the top down. You can see, I'm gonna call them wisdom creases. There it is, it's where all of my experience and knowledge gets trapped. But it's also where my foundation gets trapped. That's not cute. So I have noticed that there is just a little bit of pooling in those lines. Now, the lines are fairly minimal at this point, but the deeper they get, the more the foundation is going to cake up in there. I highly suspect, at any rate. And then I've got this little furrow going on here. And there's not much in the way of foundation caked up in it because, what is on my face? What the hell? Because there's just not a lot of foundation left right there, as per usual. For whatever reason, that's where foundation tends to escape on my face. That's fine. It also tends to escape along my nose because I blow my nose throughout the day. I rub my nose, I wipe my mouth when I eat. So this section of my face usually gets a little bit messed up. But, there is some missing. But can you also see right along the nostril line there that it's just all caked up as well? It's all like separated along the tip of the nose, so there's a lot of like splotchiness going on there. Again, it's kind of caked up over on this side as well. Not super cute. I am not entirely sure if the camera's going to pick it up, but in looking at like the sides of my face, the foundation just looks like it's sitting on top of the skin. So the issues with the pores that were on there when I first applied, it's still evident that that is going on. And then particularly down in this area, let's see. The viewfinder doesn't really, I don't know, I can't see, but it's all like mottled along my chin, and it really just looks very dry and very cakey. Like it's very evident that I'm wearing makeup. So I really am not a fan in the way in which it has worn throughout the day. Now, having said that, people generally don't get that close to my face, or else I'm very alarmed. Usually just my kids, and usually like while I'm sleeping, they'll get that close to me and then I wake up terrified. But that's beside the point. I'm looking at the mirror here. I've got it here. It's, I don't know, 1.5 feet, 2 feet away from me. My skin looks totally fine. It looks totally fine from this distance with lights on and all that, no problem. But it's the up close. And aside from just the way it's looking up close, it doesn't really feel all that great on my skin either. Like I'm just kind of aware of it. It's not really that it's heavy or itchy, like it's not irritating my skin in any way, but I can still feel that tackiness. Like it's not nearly as bad as it was when I first applied it, but it is still there. And I did do like the transfer test early on, but when I wore it to walk my dog earlier, I have a black winter coat, and along like where the zipper, the neck hole, is that what it's called? I'm totally gapping. But like where it hits my face, there was foundation rubbing off on that. So perhaps just like the actual friction is what caused it, but at any rate, I thought I'd make note of that. So there is some transferring with it. It's not the most comfortable wear foundation, and certainly I don't really like the way that it looks in real life. The cameras, the lights, it all kind of washes everything out, and that's why I do like the up close and turn the lights off, as uncomfortable as it makes me. It's just more helpful. I don't know. It's not terrible. It's certainly not the worst foundation I have ever tried. That still goes to either the Jouer Extreme Coverage, is that what it's called? Essential High Coverage. I think that's what it is. The Jouer Essential High Coverage. Terrible foundation. Oh my god. That one, and then the CoverGirl Skin Milk. First of all, the name just turns me off, but that one looked horrific on my skin. It was terrible. This is not terrible, it's just not great. So overall, my feelings are just very lukewarm on this foundation. I don't strongly dislike it, but nor do I really like it. I have it, I don't know, given the number of foundations that I have in my drawer, I don't really see myself reaching for this one all that often. If I want lighter coverage, especially if I'm looking for drugstore, this is the one that I'm going to go for over the Revlon. This one is from NYX. It's the Bear With Me Tinted Skin Veil. It doesn't offer quite as much coverage as the Revlon, but it wears nicer throughout the day and it feels better on the skin. So for what it's worth, those are my thoughts on it. You can't win them all, and this one just didn't do it for me personally. So with that, I'm going to wrap this video up. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.